Back to the Future. This is a Back to the Future appreciation video, and let's talk about Back to the Future. This is the whole trilogy. I'm talking about every single one in this video, and I read it initially. My plan was like I'm gonna review them individually, but I watched the first one and literally I couldn't stop thinking about the first one for like 3 days after watching it. I said I don't really want to review this. I just want to watch the next one. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch it. And then after the second one ended, I literally popped in the third one right away. Because this trilogy is a trilogy of movies that flows together so perfectly, is so well crafted, that it's amazing. It's like insane. Like, you don't get movies this perfect. You don't get trilogy of movies this perfect that don't have any major continuations, right? We didn't get some weird Back to the Future reboot in like 2003 or something, you know. We didn't get no Back to the Future 4. I mean, they've talked about it, but it's not happening. I mean, at this point, it's never going to happen. And we just keep hearing about it, and it's just not going to happen. This whole trilogy is perfect. Every little thing about this movie is perfect. The only thing I don't really like about this movie is that Marty's dad in in part one is revealed to be a peeping Tom, and I don't really see what the point of that was. It didn't really add anything to the movie. It just makes Marty's dad seem like a creep for really no reason, and it's kind of like hard to root for him to get with his mom when you know that he's a creep a little bit. Like, that's kind of a little weird. But besides that, the rest of this movie is fantastic. The first movie is just a great movie. It's a great story, and then it's a really funny movie too, which I don't think this is an aspect of these movies people really talk about, is how funny these movies are, especially the first one. You know, Marty. It's such a relatable idea, right? Of this movie, at least the first one. Marty goes back in time to help his parents meet and fall in love. And you know, he knows nothing about his parents. He doesn't think his parents are cool, and he kind of learns things about his parents and learns to kind of appreciate his parents. I think a lot of younger people Marty's age don't really care about their parents and how they met, you know, because parents don't tend to talk about that stuff with his kids probably as much as they should. And so it's kind of this relatable, really funny movie with some time travel and great humor to it and dialogue, and it's just such a fun time. I love the Johnny Be Good scene, especially that part where he says, "It's your brother Marvin Berry. You know that real sound, that new sound you've been looking for? Well, listen to this." I love that part of that scene. I love that. And then the way that this movie ends off, bam, cliffhanger. And my favorite one of the trilogy is the second one. It just gives me such a hype. It's just, I think it's the best paced out of the trilogy. I think it flows together the best, has the best humor, best dialogue, best acting, everything flows together such perfectly. The third one is definitely the weakest. I don't think it's bad by any means at all. It's fantastic. It's great. But it's not as great as the other two. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the setting. It's a little too generic and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's still great. It still works together, flows together really well, and it's just such a great trilogy of movies, humor wise, story wise, acting wise, dialogue wise, effects wise, the score. Bum, 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 you know, that theme, just such great. It's so good. It's so great. 36 years later, this movie still slaps. The dialogue is so great. One of the things I really noticed this time out watching is how many callbacks from the first movie to the third movie. Just like, you don't even notice their callbacks the first like 50 times through. I've seen these movies so many times, and it just flows together, makes the movie so cohesive. They flow together perfectly. They're so well written, so well done. Just perfect movies. I mean, there's like minor flaws, minor nitpicks, but for the most part, this movie's perfect. It's on 4K. You can get the whole trilogy for $40. Really good deal. I mean, you get all this in this cool booklet. It's got Blu-ray and 4K. All the discs are there, you know. bonus features, just so much great content. I mean, Back to the Future. If you had never seen this trilogy of movies, you gotta watch these movies. You gotta get them on 4K. They're beautiful looking movies on 4K. Hilarious movies. They're such a great time. I could watch these movies over and over again. Just thinking about them right now makes me want to go watch them right now, all over again. Just some of the greatest movies ever made. Just perfect, perfect movies. There are literally no flaws I can point out with these movies. Besides, like, I guess the time travel doesn't make sense, but that's with every time travel movie. And this movie does a great job with the time travel, anyways. It's so much fun. It's just so great. So great, so great, so great.